Hey everybody, it's Sunny. I wanted to do a video about why we chose to unschool our girls, our twin girls, because friends and family are asking, and you may have found our YouTube channel because it's something that you're considering for your kids. So I just wanted to share a little bit about our reasoning behind it and what we're hoping to get out of unschooling. The first thing you should know is my kids have been in public school up to this point. So that's kind of a unique perspective that we're coming from. I never really challenged what learning looked like until recently when I started challenging a lot of things in life and why do we do things a certain way. And how our kids learn is very important. I think for us it makes sense to learn as naturally as possible. When I was in school, I remember going to classes and studying certain things and not really understanding the why behind it. Like, why are we learning this? Why is this important? There was a lot of stuff I felt like time was wasted. Things were not really necessary, or they weren't relevant to me, or perhaps there was an agenda behind some of the stuff, and we see that more and more nowadays. And I really think learning should be simplified, and it should be based on your interests. When you're learning something that you're passionate about, you get more excited. You are probably more creative in the whole process, and it sticks with you for a longer period of time. In some cases, perhaps your whole life. So for me, that makes a lot more sense. Let's learn stuff that gets us excited, because that excites other people, because that kind of energy is contagious in a beautiful way. And let's share our gifts with the world. I feel like there's a lot of kids that go through the traditional system and they get out at the end and they don't really know what to do. So one of the things that I'm hoping to do with unschooling is to really ignite that creativity, that critical thinking skill that I think has become lost. I mean, even with myself up until a couple years ago, I just kind of assume that things are the way they are and you just kind of go with the flow and try not to upset people. I have a completely different view on all of that now. But I love the idea of child-led learning. It's a beautiful thing. I don't necessarily think that you have to be in a certain building in order to learn. In fact, what do we do a lot of times as adults if we feel like we have some sort of roadblock or mental block? We go outside, we go in nature, we try to relax our mind, get our minds off of things. So to me, it makes sense to do that all the time. You know, you can learn wherever you are. Maybe you're in a different country, maybe you're in your bedroom, maybe you're outside enjoying the beautiful day, but inspiration can happen at any moment. And I know some people are like, well, what are you going to do for interaction, with other kids? Well, we have a neighborhood where, our kids gather all the time and play together. My girls naturally get a lot of exercise because they're always doing gymnastics or creating some crazy dance for YouTube or whatever. So some of the common, questions that I get asked are about those things. And it's really not something that I'm concerned about at this point. And I also think that this is a good opportunity for our whole family, because the way the current education system in the US is structured is that you go to school for, up through 12th grade, maybe you attend college or university after that. But then learning for most of us kind of stops. We kind of have this idea that, oh, well, I already did my learning, or, maybe you've got to do some, supporting education, additional education classes for your work. But for the most part, we're like, no, I did my time. It's almost like jail or prison. No, I did my time and I don't need to learn, And I think that stems from us having a not so great experience when we were learning, because learning shouldn't turn off at a certain age. If you love what you do and what you're learning, it should be a continuous process. And if we allow our kids to have more time to do those things, then it's not as big of a hassle. But if you're expecting your child, like I was for many years, to go to school for 6 or 7 hours, then to do some sort of extracurricular activity, where is that time, first of all, to be with your family and just appreciate your friends and people that care about you. But where is that time for creativity? Where is that time to just be, you have a question that pops up, and this happens with adults all the time. You have a question that pops up throughout the day. You're like, oh, why is it that way? Or I wish I knew more about XYZ, whatever XYZ is. But you don't have time to go back and learn it. Well, what if you had that time? One of the things that I'm having our girls do is whenever they have a question, because kids question everything, whenever they have a question, they come to me and like, Mom, I have a question about this. A lot of times those are learning opportunities. We have a list, it's a digital list that's on their phone that they can add stuff to anytime. And I said, when you have a question like that, write it down. And now one of the things that we're doing is each week they pull out one of those questions, and now they have time to go back, do some research, and find out the answer to these questions. This happens to us all day long. It's just most of us are so busy, we don't have the time to go back and learn naturally, right? That was something that just came up that day, and you write a question down, and then you learn about it the following week or whenever you choose that question. So again, what I'm hoping to get out of this is flexibility. Flexibility to travel, flexibility to go see the places that we're learning about, experience things, talk to people. Maybe the best way to learn about a subject isn't by reading it in a book. Maybe it's by going to talk to somebody that's in that profession or that knows more about that than you. There's all these incredible ways to learn that unfortunately with a school system the way that we have it structured here in the US, it doesn't afford us that opportunity, right? You may take some field trips here and there, but I think most of the learning happens naturally out in the quote unquote real world. And then kids are better prepared for what happens when they get outside of a classroom. And as far as our plan, I don't have a huge plan with this. I feel like if you are truly trying to learn naturally, it's going to happen naturally. So I have not watched a ton of videos on how to do this. We should be inspired in the moment. We're planning to have somewhat of a schedule, but I told the girls, listen, if the schedule changes, the schedule changes. What's important is that we're constantly growing and adapting, and we're having fun. Learning should be fun. And I'm hoping to accomplish all those things. And I'm glad you guys are with us for this journey. I encourage you guys to leave comments and make suggestions because, we're doing this one day at a time and we're coming from the public school system where literally everything is pretty much fed to you. So it's a dramatic change, and I'll be updating you guys on our progress and what we're learning and all of that. But that's really the reason that we're doing this. Some people will call it crazy, but we're learning. I'm learning too, and we're having fun. And that's what we're doing. So thanks for being with us.